It's going to be a huge London derby, and of course, we've saved the best for last. Thomas Tuchel versus Antonio Conte. Let's first hear from the German ahead of the game at Stamford Bridge.
If you weren't to bring in another defender over the next few weeks, do you think you're short in that department? Do you think you need defensive reinforcement?
We could use one more central defender. Yeah, if you look at the numbers, and given the fact that in the moment we play with a back three, and the profile of the guys in the back three is a little bit different, I admit. So we're playing with also with Aspi, who is more a fullback as a central defender in a back three. With Cucurella, it's possible. It's a good position, but both of them, for example, cannot play as central defenders. So real central defenders, we could use one more. Let's see what happens.
Likewise, at the other end of the pitch, you've obviously lost two strikers over the summer. If you don't bring in a recognised out-and-out striker, are you concerned about the strength and depth you have up front?
I think we could use and strengthen our squad in depth and strength in both. But you know, it's one thing what you wish for, and one other thing what's possible. And it needs to be possible. And we're looking for top quality and top personalities, good characters, and real competitors on the highest level. So you don't always get what you wish for, and that's why we are calm and we're ambitious at the same time, and still quite some days to go until the end of the transfer period. And as you know as good as I, everything is possible until the end.
Again, I know the answer I'm going to get if I can steal your name, so I'm going to phrase the question differently.
Yeah. No
in
comment.
your time alongside Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at Dortmund, he had tremendous success. Would it be fair to say you enjoyed working alongside him?
I enjoyed a lot working with him. It was a pleasure. You know, some, and this has nothing to do with the situation now, but some players stay your players because you were very, very close, and Oba is one of these players. We had a very close relationship, and it's always when we played him here with Arsenal or and an opponent team, it was always straight away this close bond, and they always stay your players in a way, and Oba is one of these guys.
Just one final question from me. Obviously you played Spurs 4 times last season, beat them 4 times.
Yeah.
Antonio Conte said himself back in January when you knocked them out of the League Cup, there's a huge gulf between the two sides. 7 months is a long time in football. Do you think they've closed that gap now? Do you think Spurs are now a side that are on a par with Chelsea?
I never felt a huge gap in preparing these matches, because they are close matches and they are very competitive and very talented squad. I think I know very well what we invested and to what level we played to beat them 4 times and not concede a goal against this quality of a team, and then an emotional game in London like this. That means for everybody so much. So this was a huge effort and a big performance, big consecutive performance from us. I think they, in general, I think that it's a bit. I don't believe everything that Antonio Conte says in games like this, before games and after games. I admire him a lot, and I believe strongly that every team he trains competes for everything. No matter which team it is and what club it is. And this is what he proves right now. They had maybe the opposite last 7 months from us, given the situation. Everything was clear. They had something very clear to fight for. They put all the energy into to make it into Champions League football. They reached Champions League football. Their targets were clear. The setup in the club was clear. They took advantage of this situation and had a very aggressive and very aggressive transfer period, and a very straightforward and an excellent transfer period to strengthen their squad in quality and in depth. And that's why it's one of the toughest opponents, because that's what is always with Antonio Conte's teams, and that's what we're facing tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, Sunday.
Just one last one on Spurs and Antonio Conte. You've already spoken in glowing terms about your admiration for Antonio Conte, but you obviously kept Son and Kane fairly quiet last season. What is the secret?
I don't tell you. No. I don't tell you because I think that I think we have to be very disciplined in certain regions of the game, and there's a huge. They stepped a level up in their game. They have. They play in the same structure so far, but they have a pattern in their offensive pressing and they have a pattern in their defensive attitude to defend, and this changes a lot. So it's very important that we are good on the ball. It's very important that we are the dominant team. Hopefully put the game into the opponent's half, and from there we need to control the counterattacks before everybody else sees the counterattack. So hopefully we don't talk too much about counterattacking, because they are one of the very best teams maybe in the world in counterattacks in these movements. And you are right, we did a fantastic job in closing it down. So the players were unbelievably disciplined and aware of the situations, and that's why we can never lose the structure and we can never lose our head while we are attacking, because this is the moment. I believe this is the moment to stop the counterattacks. When the counterattacks start already, you're already in trouble, and you're in big trouble given quality and the speed and the determination of Tottenham. So we need to be smart and stop the counterattacks before this.
Thomas Tuchel there ahead of the match versus Spurs. And if you guys remember last season, they played 4 times against Spurs and they didn't concede a goal. They didn't lose the games at all.
Yeah.
But this isn't the same Spurs that they're meeting, is it?
It's a weird.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's a better Spurs.
You want to go first?
No. because I gotta tell you this, right? This is like a totally foreign Tottenham team I know from last season, right? That win, the 4-1. I'm like, which Tottenham team is this?
Yeah. It's a very good point that Razif just made, because when you look at the way Spurs played in that first game against Southampton, given that it was a very pathetic-looking Southampton side that Ralph Hasenhüttl came up with,
And Kane didn't even score.
yeah, that's the question of the century.
Or Son.
It's almost alien to me that when you see Spurs score 4 goals and you don't see Kane or Son
Or
in the
Son.
score sheet.
Yeah.
But Son did assist 1 goal lah, but he didn't score.
Correct.
So did Kane, right? And this goes down to the fact that, you know how you heard all those reports during pre-season that Conte was working his players so hard during pre-season in training in Korea when they were there during their pre-season tour and everything. And now you're seeing the fruition of it, right?
Got it.
You see how the wing-backs actually they're literally flying. You look at, when you say Emerson Royal, he's usually a troll player.
Correct.
For most of the
He's
season.
improved all his players.
Amazing the way his input was from the right, and then you look at Ryan Sessegnon. I think the fact that when they brought in Ivan Perisic, it was not so much just for Perisic and his contribution towards the team when he plays, but also off the field when he's in those training sessions with these players, right? Because he's a world-class player. He's played in the World Cup. He's won trophies, and he's one of those players where you're going to get an instant impact from him on and off the field, kan? So when you tengok squad Spurs sekarang, the signings that they made, Richarlison is a good backup for the front three, which is Kane, Son, Kulusevski, how amazing he was in Game Week 1 as well. It's not going to be easy to keep it up against Chelsea, because Chelsea are going to be that team that's going to try to be defensively solid, although they were a bit suspect against Everton.
Yeah.
But I still feel first game at home at Stamford Bridge, with all the new signings, with the fans behind them, I think Thomas Tuchel will probably get this right. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game, and it's going to be hard for Kane, because when you look at the way Kane plays now, he drops deep too much. To me, I don't like the way Kane plays now. Like, if you're a fantasy football player, you always get points from assists and goals, right?
Yeah.
But Kane drops too deep these days, and I wasn't surprised that he wasn't on the score sheet the other day, because he just drops too deep, bro.
But because usually he runs high,
Yeah.
and everybody just feeds him the ball, or
okay.
he just gets to whatever that comes to him.
It almost feels like Son is the number 9 now in the team. Almost feels like that, because he always tries to break
You
the
know
lines.
why? Because last season.
Yeah, last season is
Last
what?
season.
That's all
Son
the
scored.
goals that he got,
Son was playing that.
Son tied with Salah, and
Correct.
both of them shared the Golden Boot last season.
Yeah.
kan?
Yeah.
Without penalties as well.
without
Son without penalties.
And he
And
couldn't even
VAR.
get in. And here's the best part.
VAR.
Reem, the best part is he couldn't even get into the team of the season.
I know.
Surprise, surprise.
Unfortunately.
Asian player.
Oh,
Must be some sort of
yeah,
bias
yeah.
there. But pulling back a little bit to Chelsea, and since we're talking about goal scorers, right? Who do you see in the squad at the moment as their the person who's going to get them the goals?
Very good question.
You know, because we were looking at that first game versus Everton, which they got the win via a penalty. Jorginho scored. Which player, is it Sterling, that is going to get them that 20-odd goals that's going to, secure them a top 4 finish this season? Or is Aubameyang the answer?
Newsflash, no one. No one in that Chelsea squad now is going to get you 15, 20 goals this season. Some may argue Sterling could do it, but he's playing on the left side of I don't know, it depends whether they're playing a front three or they're going to play Havertz as a false nine. They've let go too many players in the past. Like when you think about the likes of Tammy Abraham, who's left, he could have been a superb solution for their or the answer for them this season. And the curse of the number 9 at Chelsea is something that's well documented. Anyone who comes and wears that number 9 jersey, always almost surely flops. Alvaro Morata, Romelu Lukaku, Mattia Cashman, just to name a few who fail. Fernando Torres obviously is another one. So no one really wants that jersey number. And now Timo Werner has left back to RB Leipzig as well. So you would think like the likes of Pulisic should step up.
I heard Pulisic is going to leave the club though.
I've heard rumours as well.
Yeah,
that he may want to leave and there are actually offers for Christian Pulisic. I think Newcastle being one of them, very, very interested as well. But they don't have that out-and-out number 9 now. So that's why, like you said, they're going for Aubameyang. I don't know. He's proven in the Premier League, but all the issues that everyone saw in All or Nothing and whatever with Arteta, and he would be lovely. It would be lovely to see him to come back to the Premier League. And if there's anyone who can get the best out of him, it's Thomas Tuchel, because Thomas Tuchel has actually managed him before in the Bundesliga in Borussia Dortmund. And I think when the whole saga was going on between Arteta and Aubameyang, Tuchel actually had something to say that he is like that. You just need to know how to manage him. So that was a very interesting statement to hear.
Yeah.
So, and it'll be nice to see. Imagine this, right? Imagine Oba comes back, starts banging in goals for Chelsea just for the sake of standing
proving
up to Arteta.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sterling playing next to him.
With Sterling
That's
supporting.
crazy. That's
Right.
crazy.
So
Then you
it's not doom and gloom for Chelsea, bro. Trust me.
No.
I mean, I think it's going to be tough for them to compete with the top 3, which is for me Liverpool, City, Spurs.
But it's just between Arsenal.
It's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, Arsenal and also Chelsea will be
Yeah.
at it. I really like the young players like Mason Mount and all that. Because I think when last season we were playing fantasy, right? Everybody was already picking the really good ones, and I thought it was this boy who's gonna
But
get me to
Mason
the
Mount
hunt.
started quite shaky though. I think he was subbed off after 64 minutes against Everton. I think it was maybe an injury issue and whatnot. And also when you look at that, I like to analyse things, right? When I see that first game
This
against
season,
Everton.
yeah,
Sorry, bro?
it's only first week, right?
Yeah, it's only one game.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
small sample size, but Reece James took most of the set pieces. Usually Mason Mount goes for all the free kicks or even the corners. So yeah, it's a wait and see lah.
Okay.
Yeah.